looking to get back fighting top contenders at Dillian WHYTE. I'm ready next if you fancy it at Eddie Hearn. Can pay for it or my team will do it. So as you can see, Hughie Fury. Or Hughie Fury. Because you guys always say you have to like sing it when you say his name, when you pronounce his name. Fury is basically calling out Dillian WHYTE. You know, you got all these people always saying, you know, all these Dillian WHYTE fans always saying that everybody in the world, every heavyweight in the world is afraid of Dillian WHYTE. Lucas Brown is petrified of him. Deontay Wilder wants no part of him. Even the great Anthony Joshua is scared to give him a rematch. Everybody's always saying that, you know, everyone's afraid of Dillian WHYTE, but they ignore the fact that Jarrell Miller calls him out. Well, I want to see if they're going to ignore this. Hughie Fury has called out Dillian WHYTE. As you can see, he says, Eddie Hearn can pay for it, or my team will do it. So, like, he's really, this is like he really wants to fight Dillian WHYTE. I think it's a very terrible matchup for Dillian WHYTE, to be honest with you. Because Dillian WHYTE was getting outboxed by Robert Helenius. Robert Helenius was like 34 years old. I thought Robert Helenius won some rounds against Dillian WHYTE. So that Robert Helenius fight showed me that Dillian WHYTE could get outboxed. Hughie Fury is much better on the back foot, and he's a much better boxer than Robert Helenius. Robert Helenius normally doesn't fight. If you look at Robert Helenius, I mean, normally doesn't box like that. If you look at Robert Helenius, when he first was coming up, he was always an aggressive fighter, right? He was a toe-to-toe type of fighter. But then he started like changing his style. So he's naturally more of an aggressive type of fighter. So if you think about it, him fighting off the back foot is not his best asset, but he was still able to beat Dillian WHYTE, like not beat Dillian WHYTE, but like win some rounds against him. I mean, Hughie Fury is a master at boxing, fighting off the back foot. So I think that would be a dangerous fight and a very winnable fight for Hughie Fury. But like I said, when it comes to Hughie Fury, he is one of these guys, kind of like Guillermo Rigondeaux. He's a runner. You know, I've called him the most boring fighter the most boring heavyweight I've ever came across. When it comes to this, Hughie Fury, like when Hughie Fury fought Joseph Parker, Hughie Fury was doing really well outboxing Joseph Parker, but he wasn't being offensive enough, and this is why he lost. Could that be the case? Could Hughie Fury be outboxing Dillian WHYTE, but then he's not being offensive enough, and Dillian WHYTE is being the aggressor? But the thing is, like I said, Dillian WHYTE isn't the best at cutting off the ring. But I could definitely see Hughie Fury winning rounds against Dillian WHYTE. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if Dillian WHYTE beats him. I mean, excuse me, if Hughie Fury beats him, because Hughie Fury is a master at fighting tall and boxing, basically. And Dillian WHYTE would have to be the aggressor in that fight. Dillian WHYTE would have to go to the body. Whoever fights Hughie Fury has to be aggressive and has to cut the ring off on him, because unless you are a better boxer than him, but most heavyweights aren't better boxers than Hughie Fury. So that would be difficult to do. You will have to be aggressive, like Joseph Parker. You know, Joseph Parker is a guy that could fight off the back foot as well. Shout out to all my Kiwi boxing fans, New Zealand subscribers. Joseph Parker is a good heavyweight. But if you look, Joseph Parker, he is a good outboxer, but he was forced to be aggressive against Hughie Fury because Hughie Fury was a better outboxer than him. So Dillian WHYTE would have to do the same thing. And it's funny, I think this would be interesting just because when Hughie Fury fought Joseph Parker, I remember Dillian WHYTE made fun of Joseph Parker. He was like, I think he said, this guy ain't nothing. You know, he's shit because he struggled. If you remember, he kind of struggled to cut off the ring against Hughie Fury. And I remember Dillian WHYTE made fun of him. So he like made fun of the fact, and he was acting like, oh, he ain't nothing. So it will be interesting to see. Let's see if Dillian WHYTE struggles with Hughie Fury, or even worse, loses to him. And I think he will, because I don't think he's the best at cutting off the ring. So yeah, this is an interesting fight. I think if it happens, I mean, if Dillian WHYTE doesn't fight Deontay Wilder next. Why not Hughie Fury? Again, Hughie Fury is calling him out. Again, everyone's always saying everyone's ducking Dillian White. Well, Fury isn't ducking him. But again, maybe Dillian White might feel like this is a risky fight. Because if he loses to Hughie Fury, then he's never going to get the Wilder fight. So I don't know. Maybe he'll feel like this. The thing is, let's see. You know, Dillian White, people say he's not afraid of any heavyweight. Let's see if he ducks Hughie Fury. Because this is a call-out. Hughie Fury is calling out Dillian White. So I want to see, is Dillian White prepared? You know, Dillian White claims he'll fight everyone. Although he's been ducking Jerome Miller for like 10 months. But, you know. So I want to see, will he duck Hughie Fury? Will he duck Hughie Fury? Again, I think it's a very winnable fight for Hughie Fury. But again, he will have to be more offensive. Because if Dillian White, it might be a case like with the Joseph Parker fight. If Dillian White outworks Hughie Fury, then he might lose. But when it comes to like just boxing skills, I think Hughie Fury is a better talent than Dillian White when it comes to boxing skills. He just isn't offensive enough. But yeah, there you have it, guys. Hughie Fury is not afraid of Dillian White.